People who have visited the US, what is your WTF America story? I went to Applebee's, mistake no one I guess. I was then served by a nice young lady called Brittany who asked me with a serious face if we have trees in Scotland. Not mine. But someone posted a while back about his British boss getting pulled over for speeding. As is the tradition in England. He got out of the car to meet the police officer and it went about as well as you'd expect. Edit, Umina just found it for us. Well, I hadn't even arrived yet in the US, but in the plane as a foreigner you have to fill a paper to enter the country with various questions, among which did you come to meet the President of the United States? WTF America. When I went to the US the first time and ordered a meal from Burger King, ordering a large fry, Coke, and a Whopper, I was blown away by the size of it all. Each item was larger than the same item back home. I was already like WTF. But then the cashier said I could have a second Whopper for $1. Again. I was like WTF. Sign me up. Another time. While I was in Daytona, I went to a restaurant and the woman kept refilling my drink. Again and again. Being a bit shy, I did not tell her to stop. And expected a bill with $15 for sodas. But then I found out the refills were free. WTF? Free refills? I'd only seen that at places like Subway. But so many restaurants in the US had free refills. I love the US. For restaurants and food in general. The portions are massive and very reasonably priced. Australian here. I went to Houston last year and spoke to a girl my age in the airport. We got chatting about uni college. It was around July, and she asked me if I was on my summer vacation. I casually explained I was on my winter break. She was genuinely confused and did not understand how it was summer in the US but winter in Australia. I tried to explain but eventually gave up. Edit, grammar and spelling. I'm from Canada and went to CC's Pizza in Florida. Holy shit, $5 for an all-you-can-eat buffet, which was basically a fast pass to witness a shit ton of gluttony that was on another level. I'm from America. And I have a friend from Australia. It amazes him that there are so many flags everywhere. Apparently that is a distinct USA thing. He'll make jokes about how we all forget where we are. French ex-exchange teenager in Cali here. Summer 97. I was young and missed the field trip bus to Disneyland from San Diego. So I did something pretty stupid. I hitchhiked to go there by myself. Dude who took me looked like a plainclothes cops. But a good buddy. When he heard I was French he told me to never ever hitchhike in USA because it's pretty dangerous. Plus people could assume I'm a serial killer. So I boasted, look at you, you don't think I'm a serial killer. I'm not that dangerous looking or you are careless. He told me to open the glove box in front of me. There was a supposedly loaded, ducking Desert Eagle inside. He dropped me at the bus station and insisted to give me $10 for ticket. I had cash, and waited for me to go in the bus. TLDR, still don't know if plainclothes angel or zodiac killer. I had to tip an ATM. When I first moved to America, one of the first things I saw after leaving JFK was a homeless man masturbating outside of Union Station. It wouldn't have been that strange. Except I had heard a lot of things about Nick from people who had been there, or knew someone who knew someone. etc. And I was worried what I was seeing was just going to be an everyday, everywhere thing all throughout the country. It depends on where you go. Cities that are large and high traffic tend to have a lot of volunteers who freelance. Mid-sized cities with substantially lower numbers of visitors per month often have a tourist bureau employing enough masturbators to provide auxiliary services. If you want, you can go to Orlando or Lubbock and get a personal assistant who will whack it while showing you the sights or even carry your shopping bags, one-handed. Those gaps in your toilet stall doors. What are they even for? Edit, to clarify. I meant the gaps in the sides of the door. Not the bottom. Peeking. Aussie here. When I started chatting to a cashier she squealed and asked where I was from. I told her Australia and she instantly dumped down how she spoke. Do y'all speak English down there? I replied sporadically. She laughed and informed me that wasn't a word. Korean friend who just got off the plane in Atlanta. So many big fat black women. Yes. He said it loudly and in public. But my favorite was a Japanese fellow who went to a buffet with a group of us in Vegas. He sits down and his plate looks like a normal little meal. We all have heaps of shit all over ours. And his eyes bug out that we have so much food. I said he's really going to freak out when he realizes this is only our first plate. Me paying at gas station. Attendant hears I have an accent. Smiles at me. You speak English so well. Thanks. Although I should do, I'm from England. Cue confused look. Wait. They? She trailed off speak English there? Her colleague stared at her in open-mouthed disbelief and then broke out laughing with the other customers. She looked mortified. To be fair, I felt terrible for her. She was only trying to be friendly to foreigner. How spread out everything is. Like. It's pretty much impossible for me to survive without a car. While everywhere I needed to go on a regular basis back in London was in a 10-minute biking distance. Also, the number of pickup trucks people own without needing. Edit, wholly upvotes. Edit 2. It has come to my attention that the city I live in, Jacksonville, Florida, is the widest city in the 48 contiguous states of the US. With a population of just under 1 million. That explains a lot. Do you have cell phones in Norway? This was in 2012. Kids nowadays get an iPhone and or iPad before they're born. Must be very painful for the mother. I was 10 years old in the line for Space Mountain and the guy in front of me was preaching about how all America's problems stem from the ducking niggs and Jews. Coming from a sheltered middle-class British background, this was the first time I'd encountered a proper full-on racist. It scared the shit out of me that this guy had so much hatred for something I didn't think mattered. Whilst at the happiest place on earth. I visited the US. Never understood suburban young kids with huge trucks that clearly do not do any manual labor. I visited. But I also have lived here my whole life. The trend in the market is that people are buying the largest cab size and the smallest bed. Now what does that tell you about people buying trucks? I asked an old lady if it's true all Americans carry guns. She smiled and pulled a revolver out of her purse. She was a nice lady. Went into a shop. They had spray on cheese. I don't think the majority of Americans here know how ridiculous that sounds to the rest of us. Spray on cheese. When I first came to the US and my dad took us to a restaurant, I ordered a fish dish and when it came out I asked my dad how come the fish doesn't look like a fish. I was used to whole cooked fish, so deep fried fish fillet looked really strange to me. Do you know any Vikings? Asked by a nice young blonde with a straight and serious face in McDonald's. I'm from Denmark. Also, good God, Texas has a lot of fat people. I was complimented on my excellent English by a girl from Ohio. I'm Canadian. She thought we all spoke German. After moving from Africa. As a teen, I am repeatedly asked why I moved to Africa in the first place. To which I reply that I've always lived there. I am also asked, so why are you white? To which I reply, oh my god. Karen. You can't just ask people why they're white. However, when they reply with blank stares I realize they aren't referencing Mean Girls. Some other questions. So Africa is one country and all the borderlines are, like, states. Are there, you know, buildings? You guys have memes over there, right? Are you Australian? Was in northern New York, near Buffalo, and a waitress overheard that I was headed back to the Pacific Ocean. She asked where I was going and I said Vancouver. No honey, Vancouver is in Canada and that is on the Atlantic Ocean. I said Canada is from sea to sea just like America. She replied no, that's not right. Only America is from sea to sea. The combination of her being absolutely sure about something and her total ignorance was surprising enough, but the fact that she felt she should basically interrupt our conversation by telling me I am wrong about what ocean I live beside was weird. I visited from Canada a couple years ago. Everyone was very nice and had the exact same mildly interested reaction to a credit card with a chip. We've finally started transitioning to these in the last year or year and a half. We're a bit behind. Their drinking age is 21. WTF USA? Why do you think every other teen comedy is about having underage drinking parties? When I went to Florida, I was stopped by the police for jaywalking. I protested that the road was clear, so therefore safe to cross. He said, I don't know how you do it in your country, but here in the US we take road safety seriously. Aghast. I explained I was from England and my only knowledge of jaywalking was from Lethal Weapon 3 and that I believed it was just a made up law that they used in the movie to sass people. He chuckled and said that's a great movie. I prefer the first. I agreed and said it was by far the best. After a brief chat about the entire Lethal Weapon saga, he said in future make sure you use the crossings. I agreed but asked in a pretty decent South African accent, what if I have diplomatic immunity? He chuckled, nodded his head and pointed to the crossing and said, cross there. Enjoy your vacation, and off he went. It was the highlight of my holiday. On a bus going into New York City from New Jersey. There was a middle-aged white man on the bus. As he goes to get off the bus, I notice the tip of a used condom hanging out of the back pocket of his khaki pants. Instead of saying thank you as he is leaving the bus, he tells the young black female bus driver, not too bad for being black. Edit. Dude was not masturbating on the bus. Nor did he have sex with the bus driver. He was sitting a few seats away from me. That would be an even more WTF moment, which I would have included in my original post. I'm from Canada and the first thing I saw upon my arrival to Port Angeles, Washington, which happened to be the first time I stepped foot in the States, was a large spherical lady sitting in the middle of the sidewalk blocking my path to the bus terminal, just staring at me. Another time, I was in San Diego one summer and a woman, genuinely curious, asked me if it was summer in Vancouver too. Edit. It was July. A couple. I went to university at Cal State Fresno. I was a country boy from Canada. When I was there, the entire downtown of Fresno was boarded up and you did not go there after dark, actually anytime. And a full-blown gum gang fight outside of my apartment, in Clovis, a suburb near the university. For a kid from small town Canada, that was mind-blowing. Was at an all-you-can-eat buffet with a soft-serve ice cream machine. As kids we thought we were being little pigs by swirling as high as we possibly could, while our parents weren't looking or they certainly would have stopped us. The guy after us grabbed a full-size drink tumbler and filled it up with ice cream. No shame at all. No childlike glee at making the mother of all Sundays. I suspect now it was something he did regularly. Asked a girl in a hooker lounge if she knew where New Zealand, my home country, was. She replied asking, is that the country above us? Well, it is a globe. If you get the angle right, you'll hit New Zealand eventually. There was a place called Norma's in Washington State. Somewhere rural. Anyway, it was like a shrine to George Bush. The owner was guy, and the back of a menu had his face with the quote, "Just call me Norma" on the back. Best burger I ever had. Called the George W. Bush burger. I ate a Hershey's chocolate bar. What the duck? How do you Americans actually like that? It tastes so cheap and vomity I had to spit it out. I'm Canadian and have visited the United States multiple times and have had an overall enjoyable experience on each one. I wouldn't blame this on America, but I saw a fat bald middle-aged man standing on the side of a Pennsylvania highway with bunny ears. I'm sure this happens in Canada too, but this is the first time I've seen something like this. A universal WTF for both foreign and US citizens, the Golden Corral. Everything was submerged in liquid butter. The patrons were larger than some cars. first night in LA, watched as a stolen cop car and a million cop cars flew past me down Hollywood BLVD at 60 miles per hour at 10 p.m. Then I turned and walked back into the Thai restaurant where I watched the fugitive get pit maneuvered and shot dead live on the news via helicopter chase cam. Dude sitting next to us was excited to tell us we had officially experienced LA. Over the top car chases. Action chase cam news. Neon lights in Hollywood. A nation restaurant that made me feel like I was in an art film. He was right. I'm from the UK. Lived in the US for about 5 years now. Few things that annoy me. You want to get a loan for a new car? There's a fee for that, on top of the interest. You want to take money out of the ATM? There's a fee for that. You want to exchange some currency? There's a fee for that, on top of the exchange spread. A product has money off? You'll have to send something to receive it. They hope you can't be bothered. Pretty much any service. Someone will try to make a few extra dollars off you. I went to Disneyland in Anaheim. And it just struck me that there were a large number of disabled people out and about enjoying the rides. I'm from India, where there is no shortage of disabled people, but it was just the sheer number of disabled people that made me extremely happy that the park was accessible to everyone. You done good, America. I said to myself as I ate some horrible expensive fried thing. I later realized that most of those people were not disabled but fat people on scooters who did not feel like walking. Where do I sign up? I've told this story on Reddit before. But my biggest WTF was in fall 2005. Google Earth had just come out. And my colleague at the university lab and I were looking at it. She was a blonde bombshell from San Diego. And I'm a portly Indian boy. When I showed her Mumbai, my home city, she was blown away. You have buildings? Look. There's an airport. Oh my god. You have cars? How the hell do you think we get around? I asked. Her reply still rings on my head. Not walking. Not cows. Not elephants. Not bicycles. Not horse-drawn carts. She said camels. If I ever saw a camel in Mumbai, I'd stop everything I'm doing and say, holy shit, that's a ducking camel.